Good morning, everyone. Happy Fierce Friday. Today is May 12th. My name is Naiva Flory, and I've been a part of Purium for almost 9 years now, and a part of the Million Mom Movement Council for nearly 5 years. And it's been a huge honor to be a part of this mission. I actually started really embracing the Million Mom Movement the day I started with Purium because of the way it made me feel. And I started sharing right away with other moms because that's who I was. I was a mom. And this provided a huge solution for me in taking care of myself first so that I could take care of my family. And so I'm so grateful to be here today. And we're going to be sharing about our entrees and desserts in our recipe book. We've just launched a series of recipe books. The first one being drinks and snacks, and the second one being appetizers, soups and salads, and sauces. And now we're going into our entrees and desserts sections. So happy to have all of you here. Thank you for being a part of our movement. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Carmela so she can share in the news with us.
Thank you so much, Neva. Hello, everyone. Well, we're excited. This is a great topic, and we're going to close out the recipe book with you guys. And it's so much fun having the council come together for this, and the field. So the field has also been very participatory. So I have some pieces that I thought would be relevant for what's going on in the news today. Share my screen. And the first one is the link between our food, the gut microbiome, and depression. So it's an alarming number of how many people right now, well, 400% of teenagers, it's increased, this depression. And this is a really great study that I wanted to pass on to you. Somebody's off mute. You could just please mute out your line. Thank you. So this new study takes an important step forward in understanding the relationship of gut bacteria to what we eat and how we feel. This was just this year. So before we get started on this whole food plant-based Million Mom, let's talk about what's relevant here. Our families, we really care about their mental health. And the gut microbiome is a collection of genome of trillions of bacteria that live in the intestinal tract and are created largely by what we eat and drink. So we are in our kitchen. So let's take a look at this. And basically, there's a lot to say here. It goes really in depth of the actual bacteria, the study itself. This was published in December, and it found several types of bacteria notably increased or decreased in people with symptoms of depression. It provides some real life evidence that you are what we eat, right? And this is from an author, Andre Linden, who researches genetics at the Erasmus Medical Center in the Netherlands. So it talks about the gut-brain axis, which we discuss a lot in the Million Mom Movement. And here he cites the early 1800s, John Abernethy. This is a long time ago. He knew that gastric derangement was the root of all mental disorders. So this is a long-standing understanding of the gut-brain axis and how it's connected. Gastrointestinal symptoms often are reported in people with psychiatric illness. Weight and appetite changes are common in people with depression from adolescents to older age. And like I said, there's a 400% increase with teenagers, and you wonder why. And 1 in 2 are currently in the United States as well, with some form of diagnosis. Okay, back to this. Anxiety has been tied to a heightened risk of nausea, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation. The link between food and mood is there, even when we reach for mac and cheese to comfort us during stressful time. And so, yes, there's been a resurgence this past 20 years. It's talking about memory, mood, and cognitive skills. And let's go down. Bacteria that predicts depressive symptoms. Really interesting. I mean, I can go into it a lot, but I'd really rather put it into the group chat so that you're able to share it on with anyone you know that might be really facing this, and you're encouraging them to adopt this organic superfood, whole food, plant-based lifestyle with Purium. So the study says there's no gene that causes depression. Interesting. There's no gene. So it is lifestyle based and it goes into the microflora. Now this is changing your diet to improve your mood. So here they're going into exactly what we're going to be talking about today. It discusses the importance and validates the importance. If we do not consume enough fiber, we will experience a decrease in butyrate producing bacteria. And it's about eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and not so much excess sugar. Well, there you go, guys, it was said. There is a really great line here that I wanted to pull to you because it's talking also about, where is this? About how, I want to find it. Give me a moment. Oh, here. Rather, the gut-brain cycle together. For instance, it appears that comfort eating after a stressful event can change the microbial community in our intestines, which in turn exacerbates depressed feelings. So comfort eating, it exacerbates depression. So when we think we're actually mitigating it, we're not. We are doing quite the opposite. We are, my back. We're not mitigating it. We're actually creating more of an issue with it because it creates depressive tendencies. Okay. So I'm going to the next study. Can you confirm, Naiva or Michelle, am I on?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, great. So we're here at The Guardian. Our dear friend from The Guardian was interviewed with us. So we love this particular newsletter. If you've never seen it, it's a great one to follow. So this was just this couple months ago. It's an article about how you chew slowly, keep moving, and eat 30 plants a week. 12 rules for gut health. Well, we all know that if you eat an organic superfood, the nutrient density within it increases the biodiversity by a very large amount, which is why I wanted to bring this article to you, because it says 30 different plants. So how do you think the average person who's eating a standard American diet is actually going to achieve this without some kind of supplementation, guys? It's not realistic. So if you give them this article along with your organic superfood link, maybe the ULT pack, and how if you swap out a couple meals a day, these superfoods will definitely fill that gap. So what we're talking about here is food is just one part of it, right? So it's talking also about other aspects to keep a healthy life, like keep it moving, chew slowly, mindfulness. And this is a dietitian, Kirsten Jackson, who cited that 30 plants is ideal. Now, she's saying coffee is even considered a plant. And we were laughing about this a little bit on our council chat, because yes, it is a plant, but is it high fiber? You know, and that was exactly what the microbiome needs in the previous article. In order to truly support the health of the microbiome, we want plants that have good high fiber content. So let's see what else it says here. Choose powerful polyphenols, right? Phytochemicals is a sciencey name, but they are essentially a type of plant chemical that we get a lot of in our plant-based foods. And the Gut Health Clinic dietitian Annie Coombs says one of the most well-studied classes of phytochemicals are polyphenols. Most of them, about 90%, skip through your small intestine to join our community of gut microbes in the large intestine, where we think the magic happens. Our microbes then help to transform them into chemicals that can be absorbed and have even been linked with reducing the risk of cancer, as well as better heart and mental health. She recommends adding polyphenol-rich diets to your food, such as, there's that coffee again, green tea, berries, flax seeds, hazelnuts, extra virgin olive oil, broccoli, red onion, herbs, spices, cinnamon, ginger, and mint. I'm getting hungry. And you should see these recipes. They include all of these amazing raw, vegan, and specifically organic foods. We even have the chocolate in there, guys. So, and see, get enough fiber. Fiber. They ideally are saying 30 grams of fiber a day. And this has been shown to reduce the risk of inflammatory conditions, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. It's about looking at every single meal and making sure that it's very much plant-based. It doesn't have to be vegan, she says, but aim to have in every meal some sort of whole grain, whole food, plants, something like wholemeal bread, quinoa, brown pasta, and then learn to love new plants. Avoid gut harming foods like ultra processed foods. And then carrying on here, prebiotics. And that is what the Biomedic does serve. And if you're taking that daily, that really supports you in that. And take the time to eat. Chew slowly. I have to remind everyone to do this because I feel like so many people eat in their car on the go. You know, we're busy people, high functioning, busy families, but just take the time, make the time, and practice mindfulness. So it is, like I'd said in the last article, when you have a high stress environment and then you're eating under stress, you then have a higher case of microbiota imbalance and disruption. So it doesn't actually support good mood and hormones. So I thought those two would be supportive of the topic today because we really want to prevent through food as the medicine. And I'm going to put them into the chat now. Pass it back to you, Naiva.
Thank you so much, Carmela. That was super educational and so informative. And I always love our In the News piece because we're just bringing things to your attention. And so we'd love to invite you to share those links on forward and share what really stood out to you. Now we're going to go into the exciting part of our presentation with our recipes. And, you know, we first started with a recipe book and we realized that there was so many fun recipes and we couldn't just launch one book. We had to make it into a series because there was just way too much to cover to just have it all as one book. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see what we've been up to. And there's actually, let me see here. So this was the first one that we had launched. Oh, excuse me. Wrong screen share. Let me fix this. I got my little Zoom tabs all over my page, so that's making it complicated for me to move around. Okay, let's see. The first one we launched was this one, Drinks and Snacks. And that one has so many fun recipes for smoothies and juices and different kinds of drinks, as well as snacks that you can enjoy throughout the day. And then we launched dressing, appetizers, soups, and salads because there was so many different things that we wanted to put into this cookbook that we just couldn't fit it all into one. And so we started with the second one, and then we realized that we actually had to make a third one so that we could launch entrees and desserts, because in each chapter there's a minimum of 10 recipes, some of them containing 20 to 30 recipes, and these books are living documents. So as you send in your recipes, we can actually add them into this book. And a really fun way that you can promote these recipe books is by creating a recipe and sharing it in a reel or in your stories or on your personal social media. And then if somebody wants the recipe itself, you can share the whole recipe book with them. So that way they can have access to not only the one that you created or the one that you were promoting, but they can also see all these other fun recipes and maybe get intrigued as to what some of the ingredients are in these recipes, because we do highlight superfoods in many of them. So of course, these are the labels that we love to encourage you to look for, you know, as you're out there shopping. Read the ingredients, read the labels, make sure that you're choosing quality for yourself and your family. And if you'd like to, these pages are also printable. So you can print this and put it on your fridge or laminate it and share it at your tabling when you're sharing at different events. So this is our list of entrees. You can see here we have a whole lot of fun foods for you to explore with. And this is our list of desserts that we're going to go through today. So I'm going to go ahead and just go into a few of them. And of course, whenever you try any of our recipes, we'd love to have you tag the Million Mom Movement and use the hashtag so that way we can find you, we can promote you, and we can promote these recipe books. So at the end of this, I'm going to share some links to these recipe books, but I'd also just love to let you all know that in the link in the bio on our Instagram page, you can find the links to all these recipe books. It's already up and ready for you. And so I'm super excited for that. And that's where you can find all of these recipes. And then at the end of this, we'll also share a page with links to all the recipes. So I'd love to pass it over to my counsel and just see if you've tried a cauliflower crust pizza for your family and see what it is that you like about this recipe. Of course, what we're really suggesting, some of the things I can point out is that we're using cauliflower instead of wheat, which makes it easier to digest. It's healthier for you. It's not going to cause as much inflammation or bloating. We're also suggesting flax or chia eggs as an egg replacement. Of course, if you're somebody that eats eggs, you can also use eggs. But we're just trying to pivot and help us all realize that we can use alternatives to what we're used to using. And then we have, vegan cashew cheese in the sauce recipe book. And so we would love to invite you to, mix and match the recipes from the different books so that you can create these different variations. And I really love cauliflower crust pizza. I've made it a few times for my family and it's been a huge hit. And of course, there's so many different yummy toppings that you can add on top, but here's just a few suggestions. And I'd love to just open it up to the council and we'll just flip through this book as you're talking as well.
We're always looking for alternatives to gluten, right? And I think that that's what our community is very aware of is the glyphosate and how it really disrupts our microbiota. And really creating an alternative that is dense. It has nutritional value and fiber, high fiber. So when we increase the biodiversity in our gut, we prevent and we create more of that garden. And when we eat, we have an option to include more. And how do we do it tastefully? Well, cauliflower generally is very kind of tasteless. So it can be flavored really easily and very well. So people have cut it into breads and it's just delicious. It's really easy to work with. So when I worked with it, I found that I was surprised. First, I tried it outside through store-bought cauliflower pizzas, and then I made it myself, and I realized it's actually so much easier than we all think because you just put it into a food processor and you have control of the ingredients. So, and then of course, all the seasonings that you put into things, it just makes everything taste so much better. And the kids love to make pizza. So I found that this is just one of those activities that you can make into a family project to cook together. I didn't try this yet. Has anyone tried this lentil loaf?
I haven't tried this one in particular, but I have made something similar in the past. And this one was one of the recipes that was on our Million Mom movement, our website. So we took a lot of the recipes came from our website that were turned in by different people in the community. And then we also added some of our own recipes in here as well to kind of bulk it up. But a good portion of these recipes started from what was already available on our website that we wanted to create into a recipe book. So I haven't tried this one, but I have tried some similar recipes for lentil loaf. And this can't beat this glaze looks really good. It's something that I love to mix and match our superfoods into different dressings and sauces, because I don't know if you're like me, but sauces is where it's at. If you have a good sauce for your food, then it makes everything better.
I totally agree. I do stir fries with quinoa. Sometimes I don't do the quinoa. I was just looking at some of these recipes last night and thinking it's been a long time since I've had a full entree, because in the winters I spend a lot of time eating fruit and vegetables in South America. So, but I do love quinoa, and I just make sure that I rinse it really well because it is still a grain and it is still needs to be stored, and they are trying to mitigate mold when they're being stored in large quantities. So I just make sure I get a good organic version of it and then rinse it well with hot water several times before actually cooking with it. Sometimes I'll even soak it overnight, but it's not necessary. Buddha bowls are delicious. They can be done with or without, and it's basically piles of different vegetables. And I have not done the lentil and quinoa meatball, although they look delicious. What about this and the shepherd's pie, Carmela or Naiva?
So we actually made this recipe just this last week for our family. As I was trying to develop some new recipes and I was trying to think of what are comfort foods. So I had some friends over and I asked them, what are your favorite foods? And then we went and looked for recipes or, created recipes that would kind of fill that gap so that we could have some of these comfort foods, but a healthier alternative to maybe what we grew up eating or what we're accustomed to looking up when we find a recipe for a shepherd's pie. And so this one's really great because you're substituting the meat for lentils, which are still super high in protein. I always soak any kinds of grains. So whether it's beans or rice or quinoa, I'm always soaking them to get rid of any of there's so many different things on there. There can be anywhere from, molds or, what is it? I'm forgetting the name of the toxins that are on there, but you're wanting to really just by soaking it, you're sprouting it. And when it's sprouted, it's easier to digest. And so that's really the idea behind soaking any of your grains beforehand. And then this is just a super fun recipe because you're still incorporating so many flavors and making those lentils taste so good. And then on the next page, we actually have a mashed potato recipe that goes along with the topping for the shepherd's pie because I couldn't fit it all on one page. So I said, well, why not? Let's just go ahead and give everybody a mashed potato recipe, even though it's very basic. But we did put some options of how you can really spice up your mashed potatoes with some additional herbs and how you could just make it healthier by not using the milk and butter. And of course, it's to each their own. We're all choosing our lifestyle. So if you want to choose the conventional way, you can, but this is just a guide to help you to lean into a more plant-based lifestyle and using less animal products.
Yeah, and if anybody is paying attention to how they combine their proteins and their starches, I always like to look at the lentils and the beans as a protein. And so I know a lot of people will do beans and rice, but typically I try to do beans with vegetables or lentils with vegetables as opposed to doing it with the starches because it is combining your proteins with the starches. So we want to try to avoid that. Could be a missing link for you. And also I recently tried cauliflower mashed potatoes, which I'd never had before, but they were absolutely delicious. So I'm going to try and get that recipe and see if we can add it in here somewhere.
Yeah, and sweet potato, mashed potatoes. Yes. I love what everyone's saying here. It's definitely just swapping out and making what maybe you traditionally eaten out and just finding a healthier version of it. I saw Kimmy in the chat was saying, she's been limiting her like quinoa, rices, the complex carbs, and then eating mostly raw. We do want to encourage this whole cookbook. When I looked through all of what we had really created for content, it's there's definitely cooked, but there's a lot of fresh raw. So everyone will find something that they'll love. There's so much here, and it's a living book. So please, if you've gotten other ideas in mind, let's add it.
And some of you may be from colder climates, so raw isn't often sustainable through the winter. So just remember that, if you're going to boil something, that make sure you add extra water and you're actually going to drink the broth of it, because that's where the minerals and the vitamins are going to be. And that it's so easy to roast your vegetables and, gently soften them so that they're warmed without losing all of their mineral content. So just something to think about for those who aren't totally raw.
I love that. I wanted to share a little bit about these portobello burgers because I personally love portobello mushrooms, and there's a couple ways that I use them. Sometimes I use them, and I usually don't use the bread, so I'll do lettuce on the outside with portobello mushrooms, onions, and all the yummy flavors inside of more of like a lettuce sandwich. But the other way I like to do it, and I've done this a few times, is making like a veggie burger with some of my leftovers, and I blend it all together and cook it up as a patty, and then I'll use the portobello as the actual buns to my burger. And so that's a really fun alternative way to use them. And it's actually so filling that when I did it that way, I could only eat like half of the burger and I was stuffed. So just keep in mind when you're eating 2 whole portobellos and whatever the fillings are, it's pretty filling and it might actually turn into 2 meals for you as opposed to one. Ladies, do you have any comments on this?
It is hearty. This is a heartier one. If you're going to get that one meal a day, I mean, just generally with our organic superfood lifestyle, we just tend to not be that hungry. And when you look at this, I tend to half this with my husband. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree.
Very filling. It's a great alternative too, as we're going into summer and we're going to barbecues possibly, or maybe hosting a healthy barbecue as part of a healthy happy hour. We're sharing superfoods. This can be a really great alternative to the traditional burgers, right? Make some yummy portobellos, saute them, or put them on the grill. And when you spice them up, they can taste so good. The great thing about any kind of mushroom is that they absorb a lot of flavor. And so that's how I like it. My kids love mushrooms, luckily. So that's why I turn to these a lot as a replacement for meat or something that tastes meaty, because they can be made in so many different ways and they really do have that kind of texture. So there's a fun alternative to a regular burger if that's what you're craving. And so just like I was saying, a great alternative to meat is the portobello mushrooms. And so here's a portobello steak dinner where you're using the portobello mushrooms as your steak, you're marinating it, you're having it with baby potatoes and asparagus, and you can make a really beautiful plate with this.
Yeah, actually,
mushrooms are great. They
this
really can be. You can do anything, and just that you would do to a piece of meat, you can do to a mushroom, and they can be cut in so many different ways, and there's so many different varieties, and they are a great alternative. Carmela?
So we have the zoodles here, zucchini noodles, and these are so fun to make with your kids. And they're so fast. Like all of these meals, you can literally make in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So, when kids are coming home and they're hungry, like, well, how hungry are you? How long would it take for you needed a snack? 10 minutes. All right, well, let's do it together. And then one, you're working together. And two, you get to incorporate the nuts and seeds. I love putting, like the pine nuts and making my pesto. And it's so filling. That's the beautiful thing about high fiber foods is that this is like considered a flex food as well if you're on the program. So typically when you take the Super Amino 23s, I always encourage my clients to have a high fiber flex food. And this is considered one of them. And it's so tasty. If you put anything with like pestos together, you could just like drink the pesto. It's so delicious. But on top of zucchini noodles, then it's raw and it's fresh and fun.
We just made zucchini noodles this week. As a matter of fact, my husband accidentally spiralized the cucumber as well. I managed to figure it out and pick it out. And I've been having that as a base of a salad, but they're like endless. We've been pulling it out and putting it under soup and as the base of a salad. You can put tomato sauce on it. We have some fresh tomatoes, so we just stewed those and put those on top. They're so quick and easy. You don't really have to cut them. So you can spiralize them and we have them in a big glass container in the fridge. And we just put them under anything. So they soften if you put something hot on top, like soup or sauce, or you could throw it in the last couple of minutes of whatever you're making. And of course, the pesto is delicious. We like to make that as well and keep that frozen so that we can add it to recipes as well. So this goes way beyond a pesto zucchini noodle dish. I would encourage you to get a spiralizer so that you can do this for some of your vegetables.
And then the lemon and the mention to the lemon green spectrum in there. Most people have tried the pesto, but have you tried it with the lemon green spectrum? I love that. Or even the regular original green spectrum is also good if you want to make it more garlicky. A garlic lemon too. So it just adds that jump of nutrients that, regular pestos don't have.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to point out that we do have a ton of sauces, pestos, and lots of other sauces and dressings that are in our previous recipe book. So if you missed last week's Zoom, you can watch that, but it will be giving you the link to all the recipe books at the end here. So we do have all of those sauce recipes available for you as well. So how about this quinoa Buddha bowl? I love this idea. I love the rainbow of veggies that are on here.
For all
Yeah.
the raw foodies, this is perfect for you. And you might already have these ingredients and you just throw them all into a bowl. So these are ideas, but please feel free to add and change them and take a snapshot and hashtag Million Mom Movement. That's what we're looking for. These beautiful, colorful, fresh, raw, live foods, because they're so visually tempting to make. So if you have not yet made a Buddha bowl, it's so simple, and the kids love it too because they like typically things separate. I don't know about your kids, but they like to eat them separately. Meanwhile, some people mix them all together, but it's a win for families.
Yeah, they're so beautiful and delicious, and they are easy, especially some of the stuff can be prepped ahead of time. And we do that a lot. We love our Saturdays and Sundays to get fresh food, wash everything in baking soda, prepare and cut as much as we possibly can that will stay. And then we're picking from it all week and creating different recipes. But the Buddha bowl is a standard go-to. You can put it with the zucchini noodles underneath or the quinoa or without anything and just make a colorful plate that is so pleasant to just sit and spend 15 minutes with yourself and your food and feel like you're really treating yourself. And it is so simple, like you said, Carmela. So
Let's take cauliflower.
So this again is another great way, similar to the Buddha bowl. It's just getting your vegetables, spicing them up, making everything taste good, and putting a yummy dressing over it. Again, sauces are everything. If you have a good sauce that you love, then it really can make any meal just really touch all your taste buds and get you really excited about eating whatever it is, whether it's a Buddha bowl or a cauliflower, roasted cauliflower and potato bowl or whatever it might be. If you have a really good sauce, then it makes everything better, which is why we put so many sauces out there in our previous recipe book, as I felt like that was such a huge component to transitioning lifestyle. If you have some things that you can love, that really just makes everything easier. Wouldn't you say, ladies?
Yeah, the can't beat this dressing is great for this. If you've never tried the can't beat this dressing in our other section, put a 1 in the chat if anyone has already opened up the other sections that we've shared and tried anything. I'm curious. And if there's anything that anyone loved, share in the chat too. Because this is our 3rd week. And I love to hear what people have just started creating. If you have not yet, don't worry. We have it all in that one official group page post. So definitely check it out there.
And here's a version of our roasted vegetables. We love roasting vegetables when we need to take the edge off of raw foods or where it's a particularly cold day. Of course, Brussels sprouts, Brussels sprouts are either good or they're not, and it's all based on the recipe. And so we added this one because it really is a delicious recipe. It's easy to make, and roasted vegetables are delicious.
What do you think of those shishito peppers, guys? Have you tried them? Do you like them? Who in the chat has tried them? I'm typically not a spicy person, but this was surprisingly not spicy. And I really enjoy just the added kick of a flavor. It adds into just a more of some people love Brussels sprouts, some people don't because they're bitter. But Taz actually mentioned when we were talking about the sauces, how like a balsamic or a apothecary balsamic would pair really well to offset the bitter because it's sour. And then you could put in the shishito peppers, which is really nice. So it's just different ways to flavor it up. And in case your kids never tried it or this is where you include 30 different plants in your diet, right? Like, where are they coming from and what are they? Maybe you could just keep adding to your family's awareness of the different plants out there to cook with.
Absolutely. And I love that, we're really gearing these recipes towards the ultimate lifestyle overall, right? So not all of these are cleanse approved for the 10-day cleanse per se, but this one would be. So this one is all vegetables. There's no grains or other ingredients in here. So having a really wholesome veggie, roasted veggie can be so nutrifying. And with the coconut oil, I often like to saute a little bit of garlic with my coconut oil, so that way it gives it like that garlic butter feel, and that to me just melts in my mouth. And so yeah, play around with this, add your veggies of choice, whatever you have in your fridge, make that roasted veggie, whether it's a stir fry or roasted in the oven. And then it's something that you can also add into so many of our other recipes. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward because we have so many recipes to go through here, and we've only made it through the first handful of pages, but we have lots of really tasty, yummy things for you. If you're going to make this veggie burger and you have leftover roasted vegetables, you can always put that into your blend, and it will just flavor up those burgers that much more, give them some, additional flavors from all the veggies. And so there's so many ways. I am somebody that I cook for a big family, and anytime I have leftovers, I often can incorporate my leftovers into another meal, like a Buddha bowl, for instance. You can put those roasted vegetables as a corner of your Buddha bowl, or on top of a salad, or mix them up and put them into the stuffed mushrooms, right? There's so many ways that you can continue to use something that you made yesterday for today's meal. So we have stuffed mushrooms and stuffed peppers, and we have quite a few dinner entrees. So I'll let you ladies chat, but we are going to flip through these pages. So if you just want to chat about some of these that are your favorites, or maybe some of your tips and tricks. And I also added in some sushi, veggie sushi, so we can have an alternative to something that we might be accustomed to and love. And so there's some different variations here of sushi. And then actually just yesterday, I saw that Stephanie Dawn had made this nori sandwich. And so I went ahead and put her nori sandwich in here because I was like, that is such a great idea. I've seen it happen a couple of times on different, like on Instagram reels and things like that. And I thought, why not add it into a recipe book right away? And then you'll see right here on the side, on the right side, there's a bunch of different options of what you might put in a sushi roll or in a veggie nori sandwich, just to give you some alternatives. And one of them is roasted vegetables. So I just wanted to show you how those roasted vegetables can actually get married into so many other options. And like Michelle said, that meal prep at the beginning of the week and making some, cutting up those vegetables and creating different recipes that you can use throughout the week to stay healthy, and always have something in their fridge that you can reach for that is nourishing and healthy for you, will really help you to stay on track with your goals.
Yeah, that is absolutely my number one Million Mom Movement golden nugget for the kitchen, is that if you can spend a day or so prepping, then you just have your week. It saves time, it saves money, it saves energy, you feel good. And it's leaving healthy cues around the house that are already cut and ready to go. So it truly is fast food. Like we have so much control over it. We can really reach for, if we're preparing ourselves, then that's what we're reaching for. And it is quick and easy, and it becomes the lifestyle that we are really touting. So yeah, that spicy black bean burger from the back, and you can keep going, Naeva. I'll just chime in on that. We love making those. There's different things that you can do instead of using a grain to constitute it. But it is a commitment. It's like, we rinse the beans the night before, we soak them, and it's like we do the whole thing from scratch, but then they go great in the freezer, and then you can literally pop them in the toaster oven, and then break them up and put them on top of your Buddha bowl. I mean, we love using them in so many ways. Some of these recipes, obviously, like tacos and sushi, like those are great fun recipes to do with the whole family and get everybody involved. And then all of that love is going into it. And even though it's a cooked foods, there's still a lot of great energy, and that's raising the alkalinity in your body because you're preparing it and you're doing it and you're putting the love into it, and that's what you're ingesting. So
Mhm. Yeah, and Dave Sandoval always talks about your activism starts in your kitchen and your discipline. And interestingly, like your vision equals discipline. So do you have a vision for your better health, your family's better health? And then that's where the discipline comes from. And I think so many people, they think of meal prep as daunting, but I'll make a pot of quinoa. I'll make some roasted veggies, put in another container, make your refrigerator look beautiful, like find containers that are sustainable and ethically sourced ingredients to store. You create chopped, make your homemade hummus. You can put that into like the wraps, any kind of, like you do lettuce wraps, the not enchiladas, but like the tacos, and then the nori wraps. I always have nori wraps because everything that you put in there somehow works. I don't know why, but and then you make the sauces, and just from there you just whip it up. And if somebody were just to happen to come over for a healthy happy hour, for instance, you can literally make them on the spot like a delicious little snack along with shakes. And I think if you show them just how simple it is, that you don't have to prepare or think ahead, if you're not yet doing any of this, this is a great place to start. And that's why we really wanted to show you a lot of the ingredients are similar. And then you just pull out the ones you're going to love, your family's going to want to try and making themselves. So there are ones with zucchini garlic lasagna. I love this, veggie pastas, but make it into more veggie. It's just and then you have that cheese. This is vegan mozzarella and vegan ricotta. Find your favorite vegan cheeses, and there's so many things you could do with it. Ones that blend well with ingredients like we love BioLife and Mykonos, but otherwise just find ones that you love. Okay,
Wonderful.
dessert. Here we go. This is the fun part.
hey, before we move on, I have an idea. Let's do a challenge. Let's do a challenge. Take a picture of your refrigerator, tag the Million Mom Movement, and hashtag MMM, check out my fridge. And let's do a challenge and see. I want to see your reels. I want to see your posts. I want to see the inside of your refrigerator. Let's do something fun. Does that sound fun, you guys? I'm going to do it. If you guys want to join me, maybe we can figure something out between the council to highlight all
Let's
of
do
this.
it for the month of May. Do it for the month of May.
Great.
So
I'll put it in the comments.
and it's great for the moms out there. Like, do it for your Mother's Day, for yourself. Get some containers if you don't have any. That's your gift to yourself, so you can start meal prepping.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And I started just through posting on the Million Mom Movement page as we were promoting these recipes. I started using the hashtag Million Mom Movement recipes. And so feel free to use that hashtag so that it guides everybody back to these different healthy, yummy recipes. So use them on your own recipes when you're sharing the foods that you're making, and then also on any of these recipes that you try, so that when people look at that hashtag, there can be a multitude of recipes there. And that could be like our Instagram version of our recipe book, right? So that would be a really fun way to continue to collaborate.
It's a good idea. The hashtag, I like that too.
Yeah.
Well, we just made 2 hashtags for you guys. It's the fridge, what was it, Michelle, about the fridge, and then hashtag Million Mom Movement recipes.
Yep, just put it in the comments. MMM, check out my fridge.
All right.
And we'll go ahead and put those also in the comments of our Million Mom Movement official post when we post this replay, so that way you have somewhere to find it if you forget what that hashtag is. So we have avocado chocolate mousse. We have
So excited.
20 plus dessert recipes. So let's fly through these, ladies, in the next 10 minutes. So I'll let you ladies share, but let's just zip through the recipe, I'll just zip through the pages as you're talking.
Well, this
I
one's
love avocado mousse. Yep, me too, Carmela.
that's
so
the one I made
easy.
I made a parfait for my kid's birthday, and all the kids devoured it. I had those like glass cups, tiny glass cups, and they all held them. They were really delicate with them. They're like, "Ooh, this is really good." I didn't tell them afterwards what was in it, but I was like, "That was avocado in there."
Carrot
Avocado.
cake bites, chunky monkey. Well, have you ever put the avocado in your smoothies or in the ice cream? There's so many great ice cream recipes in here. This one's my favorite.
There's a lot of nice creams. So you could definitely play with this. It's coming into the hot weather season. Here's another
Here's some
chocolate
avocado. Yep,
This
lots of avocado.
family versus the Epigenius kids. So there's a lot of chocolate in our catalog to play with.
This might be, is this Allison's recipe or Todd? I don't remember who submitted this, but
This is
yeah, if you have kids that are like, love the cinnamon buns, this is such a great alternative. I mean, not that we want to do it all the time, but look at the ingredients. Who couldn't live with their kids eating this? Special treats for sure.
There's the dark berry. I'm really happy we have an ingredient. We have something with the smoothies, but I love that we have a dark berry nice cream because it is really a creamy protein powder. And I mean, it's with the bananas and the cocoa, fudgesicles.
Brownies, we love brownies, right? So this is a healthier alternative to brownies with the coconut flour, and we're using the Love Vanilla Chai for some vanilla, spice flavor, and then the MVP Kids protein powder as well. Replace the eggs with the flax eggs, and just using wholesome ingredients. And the cherry as a drizzle on top is so yummy.
Yeah, and it's worth noting there was a couple of recipes that got through. Thanks for all of the comments and private messages that had some agave, and we really do recommend raw honey or pure maple syrup, of course, organic, instead of using the agave. So we went back and did edit all of those. For those of you that that wrote in, those are our favorites for sweetening. And of course the dates, you'll see a lot of these recipes will have dates, and those are so delicious, especially if you're using the Manjul dates.
Yes, the dates, the monk fruit, which is the low hungwo that's in our power shake. Monk fruit is a very low glycemic index sugar sweetener. Also coconut flour is a really sweet, but it's like a brown sugar, and it gives a little bit of a molasses taste.
I believe
our
this
formulas, of course, could be used as sweeteners. Biofruit. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Naiva.
Yeah, you're right. So many of the superfoods are already sweet just in their own combination and can be used as the sweetener as well. I believe this was a recipe from Allison, and I love that we're combining different fruits with the superfoods. And sometimes, we have people that say, hey, I don't like the flavor of XYZ. Well, the cool thing is that you can help them to mix the biofruit with frozen berries and some other things to really make it into something different. And so whether they're making a sorbet or watering this down and making it into a smoothie, these recipes are really versatile and so yummy. And of course, who doesn't love some color, right? There's a great way to get your kids to get the cocoa hydrate, biofruit, and aloe digest into their daily lives, and something that's a treat that we can really not only just be proud of, but also be happy that our kids are eating it, right? Not like cringing because we don't know what the colors are or the flavors or all these weird ingredients that are out there when you get a colorful ice cream or sorbet.
Yeah, and just remember that when people, especially at the beginning, are saying that they don't like it or it's not sweet enough, that's their acidosis talking. And we get to really help people change their palate. So when we say meet them where they're at, these recipes are great ways because they don't know what they don't know yet. They don't know that it's just opportunistic bacteria that is making some of these things not palatable right out of the gate. So if we can sneak it into some of the recipes. We can help them change their palate, and eventually they'll start putting acidic things in their mouth, or things like this they'll start to crave, and they'll put the other things in their mouth and think, well, that wasn't what I really wanted. So we see it time and time again, and there's so many great ways. That's what this recipe book is about, helping you add these superfoods in. And like Dave always said, subtraction by addition.
Absolutely. So this is actually my recipe, and I love it because it uses avocado and spinach as the green base to this ice cream, and it's absolutely delicious. I make this all the time for my kids. I don't know who loves mint chip ice cream, but we do. And this is a really great alternative, without any food coloring, and it's all ingredients that you can be proud of serving to your children and your family. And it's a really fun way to also introduce people to superfoods. And, everybody loves ice cream. So we do have quite a bit of ice creams, and then we have some smoothie bowl recipes as well. But we've added in all of these things so that way it can be a really fun lean in as you're sharing superfoods with people. We don't always just have to share the basic drink. We can also share variations. We can mix it into sauces. We can make it into ice creams or into smoothie bowls or into different things and serve it to our guests or family members like that, to really get them thinking like, oh, wow, this is so delicious. And then you can share with them, actually, that has my protein powder in it, or that has some of my power shake in it that you didn't want to try because it was green, or any of these superfoods. So loving these recipes.
These are great. These are compliments of Tammy. These are the latest additions, and look at how gorgeous. And if I don't know if you're on this call, Tammy, but if you are, make sure you put your link to your Facebook page, go visit her. And she did this with her kids. So super fun, and how fun and easy. And of course, like the orange are delicious and beautiful carrot juice plus, like it'll give it that gorgeous color. We've got pineapple cocoa hydrate. So, I mean, these things really pop, pun intended. And they're delicious and fun and like guilt-free. You want a popsicle for breakfast? Okay. Right? Oh, and Allison's rainbow pancakes. Anybody made these yet?
So I know these made it into the dessert section because we had already created the other two books, and we really wanted to highlight these recipes and show you. And, sometimes it happens that we want to have, something really wholesome for dessert, and pancakes, especially with all these superfoods added into them and some maple syrup and some berries over the top, they could totally be, like a cake. It's a pancake. And so this can be, double as a breakfast or a dessert or a midday snack for the kids after school, because you're filling it with all these superfoods as well. And, we're using almond flour instead of wheat flour, and coconut sugar instead of traditional processed sugar, and really trying to use wholesome ingredients that are good for us.
I was just thinking you could make them into like the kids for birthdays, they like cake pops, something easy to make. And it has so much, you can include all the different superfoods in any one of them. So I love that Allison contributed to this. And Tammy had a really good mint chocolate popsicle online, and she always shares really good stuff. So we should definitely get more recipes in for from the field. I would love to hear more from the field, what you've been trying. Oh, and vegan cheesecake. So yeah, when my friend had first tried this, tried making it for me, I was skeptical, but when you look at all these incredible ingredients, it's got so many healthy fats, with the nuts and the vanilla lemon extract. It's interesting. It's so delicious, and it does actually taste so much better than cheesecake, and it's so much better for, I know, Kimmy, I'm so hungry just thinking about all this food. The crust is what really makes it really good too. If you season the crust well with like a little the nutmeg and cinnamon, it makes the topping even better.
Absolutely.
Just remember to keep sourcing organic ingredients, especially when it comes from the nuts, because like almonds, for example, are one of the most heavily sprayed. Peanuts, they're all mold crops and they require heavy decanting agents to keep them dry and mold free, and it doesn't often happen. And there is a percentage that's allowed of aflatoxins that are allowed on the nuts that you buy. So you always want to source good organic nuts, unprocessed, and this recipe calls for soaking, which I always recommend as well. Ava.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just wanted to comment on this because I've made this recipe lots of times. What I love is that you can keep it in the fridge or you can even keep it in the freezer. And it makes a really delicious little snack. So if you're somebody that gets a sweet tooth, this is something you can prepare ahead. You can have it in a container in your fridge, and then you can just have little bite-sized cheesecake bites that you have as like your treat. Maybe every time you sell a ULT, you treat yourself to a little bite of vegan cheesecake. I've also made this cheesecake in layers where I use some of these superfoods and made like a rainbow cheesecake. I have to find that image to add it in here, but I actually made it with the cocoa hydrate and the aloe digest and the biofruit. And so I had 3 different colors. It was kind of like a light yellow, an orange, and a pink. And it just was so beautiful. I had made it for Annie's birthday a couple years ago when I was there at the Native Springs Oasis, and everybody loved it. It was a huge hit. And I'm just noticing we're at the top of the hour. So I just want to flip through these next few pages. We have this raw cookie from Tuss. So raw is always a great thing because it's very quick and you just solidify them by putting them in the refrigerator. So it's a cold cookie. And then you can make these superfood chocolate chips that go into that raw cookie. And it's just super simple. It's just coconut oil and superfoods and they solidify. So you just have to get a little like chocolate chip mold to be able to make them like this, but you could also make them by just laying that coconut oil out on a cookie sheet and breaking it into little pieces like bark. And then you could use that as well if you don't have a mold to these chocolate chips. Then we have a superfood fudge. Ladies, if you want to share something, we have just a few more pages, but we are almost to the top of the hour.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Well, we still have, if people want to stick around and grab their phones, I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes and do our call to action and close us out. But as you can see, a lot has gone into this and we're so excited it's going to be a living document. And we're also extremely excited. Every single one of these recipe books has these links to all the recipe books. And in the coming conversations in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about actually making this a publication. So very, very exciting. Remember what Naiva said about tagging us in everything. We want to highlight you and being able to be like, my recipe's in there. So we definitely need good photos without lots of words on it and some clear recipe instructions. And we're happy to add your submissions and your recipes. So if you can grab your phones, if you have a couple of minutes to stay on the line, we'd really love for you to join us in our call to action and our mission here at the Million Mom Movement. We've been going through the Detox Project report and highlighting recent companies that are not detecting any glyphosate. So we're still working through the list, which is what's great. You know, it's not just a couple. There are some really good products out there that are paying attention to this. So if you can go to Instagram and let's go to Dave's Killer Bread. Some controversy surrounding Dave's Killer Bread on other levels, but that's something that I would encourage you to definitely look into and educate yourself on. This bread happens to be free of glyphosate. So we've gone here. You can see a comment from the Million Mom Movement, as well as myself. Please do your own version of this and commend them on the bread. Let them know who you are and why this is so important to you. And we would love for you to even make a reel of what you've done and tag us. And you can use that as part of your submission if you're in Widen Your Reach timeframe. So, and we'll highlight you on the Million Mom Movement, even if you're not. So we would love for you to follow us on all of our pages. If you're interested in this replay, the Million Mom Movement in the news pieces that we've done, where you can find the call to action and the links to the Detox Project and the reports that we use are on all of our pages. So you can go to our YouTube channel, Million Mom Movement, on Instagram, we're the Million Mom Movement. Please tag us, Million Mom Movement. I am the Million Mom Movement. We are the Million Mom Movement. And our Facebook page is the Million Mom Movement Official. So please join us there. And you'll also be able to link to next week's Fierce Friday, any of our lunch and learns. And we love growing this community. We are so happy that you're here with us. Naiva?
Thank you so much, Michelle, for all of that. So here's that page with all the links. Do join our Million Mom Movement Official on Facebook so that you can have access to the replay, and the links to all these recipe books will be in there as well. And the link in bio on our Instagram as well. That's what I was trying to pull up and it just wasn't pulling up in time. But if you go to Instagram and you go to the link in the bio, all of the links to our recipe books are also housed there. And so that's a really easy place that you can find all of the links for what we shared today and over the past few weeks. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Next week, we are going to be going into, let me bring up my page, into some really fun birthday party, how to set yourself up with, wait,
I
this
can
is
share
our,
on this, Naiva. I can
oh, this
share on
is
this.
our lunch and learn. Yeah, lunch and learn. I was talking about Fierce Friday, but talk about our lunch and learn, and then we can talk about Fierce Friday.
Yeah, so our lunch and learn is this coming Wednesday. So this is why it's next on the menu. So if you go into Facebook and hold on a moment, we're in Marketplace. Hold on a moment. Home, and you type in lunch and learn, and you'll find this invite. I just put it into the group chat, but please share it on for this coming week, Wednesday, the 17th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be talking with Taz about getting your gut in order. So we have some really incredible testimonials about how to alleviate symptoms, because people who we are bringing on have had experiences with ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, IBS, and how really our lifestyle supports that. And then the next Fierce Friday, we're talking about healthy, happy birthdays. So really how we can be prepared as a mom to support our kids and the moms that are coming here. You can invite them in and show them what a beautiful spread we have. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week, Wednesday and Friday.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you on our next presentation.